Hi everybody, in this video we are going to talk about the graph of the 6 trig functions and their particular range. And right here we have the graph of the sine function and also the graph of reciprocal cosecant. Notice the sine function is a nicely well-behaved function. It basically runs between -1 and 1, okay, throughout the range between 0 and 360. Okay, since the cosecant is reciprocal, it actually has a vertical asymptote wherever sine crosses 0. Okay, so it's 0, 180, and 360. And it basically starts at -infinity, goes up to -1, can never take on the values between -1 and 1 because, once again, it's reciprocal, and then continues up to infinity. Cosecant behaves the exact same way as cosine. First, cosine. Cosine also varies between -1 and 1. As a matter of fact, the cosine function is really nothing more than a shift of the sine function. The cosecant function, which is reciprocal, has vertical asymptotes whenever the cosine is equal to 0, so at 90 and 270. And its range also starts at -infinity, goes all the way up to -1. Okay, skips between -1 and 1, and then starts up again at 1 and goes all the way up to infinity. Okay, now for tangent and cotangent, tangent is the one in the thick red line here. That, once again, is basically the slope, or you can interpret that as slope. That starts at 0, goes all the way up to approaching infinity as x approaches 90, okay, or theta approaches 90. And again, once again, it has another vertical asymptote at x equals 270, or theta equals 270, and it varies between -infinity and infinity. Cotangent is similar to tangent in the sense that, once again, it varies between -infinity to infinity, but this one has vertical asymptotes whenever tangent is equal to 0. So at 0, 180 right here, and 360. Remember, cotangent is the one in the blue. Okay, so from there, we can actually write down the range of all of our trig functions in either set builder notation and interval notation. Now, interval notation is probably familiar with you if you've taken 115 or 114 with myself or one of my colleagues. Set builder notation is a little different, but this is what it says. Okay, it says all values of y such that, that's what the semicolon means, that the absolute value of y is less than or equal to 1, which is kind of like what you see here and here. Okay, this basically says the entire real line, all values of y such that y is between -infinity and infinity. And this says all values of y, once again, the colon is such that the absolute value of y is greater than or equal to 1, which is what we have here, and also what we have here. Remember, it said the absolute value of y. The last thing I want to leave you with is this one example. Here, we have an angle that is in quadrant 3. Okay, what does quadrant 3 tell you? Quadrant 3 tells you that that x must be less than 0 and y must be less than 0. That's what quadrant 3 implies. And our tangent is equal to 5/8. Remember, tangent is basically nothing more than y over x. Okay? And we want to find the values of the 5 remaining trigonometric functions. So from quadrant 3, we get that both x and y are negative. From tangent 3, we know that the ratio between x and y is going to be 8/5. So one possible value will be for x to be -5 and y to be -8. And if x is -5 and y is -8, then r has to be equal to the square root of -5 squared plus -8 squared, which will give you the square root of 89, which, by the way, is a prime number, so that's the best you can do. So we have that x is -5, y is -8, r is the square root of 89, and we can go to town. Sine of theta is going to be -8 divided by the square root of 89, which will be 8 over 89 times the square root of 89. Its reciprocal is going to be negative the square root of 89 divided by 8. Over here, cosine is going to be x, which is negative 5, divided by the square root of 89. Rationalize in the denominator, we will have, oh, I forgot the negative sign here, negative 5 divided by 89 times the square root of 89. Secant is going to be negative square root of 89 divided by 5. And then finally, if tangent is 8/5, well, then cotangent is going to be the reciprocal, 5/8. And that is all that I have for this particular video. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. This is Bob Boyle, signing off.